And good afternoon. It is Tuesday, October 31st. Thank you for joining me for another episode of the Restricted Area Podcast. Glad to have you. Just putting it out there. It's about late afternoon on Tuesday. So James Harden trade happened last night. If any teams get angsty and want to one-up it with their deal of their own, please don't. Not right now. I'm recording. You can do it later in the week when I'm ready to record then. Please save all trades until I'm back home after this episode and can do another one. But really, we are in a safe zone for trades, I think. I think that's why it was so shocking to see it done last night. A week into the regular season, we usually don't get trades, especially not of this scale. But James Harden is an outlier and he is just an asterisk. He is his own man. If he wants to go to LA, he gets to LA. If he wants to go to New York, he goes to New York. That man could demand a trade from the Sixers to a team in a different country, and it would probably happen. This guy knows exactly the right strings to pull, knows exactly how to get his way, and hey, I'm here for it. Fearless leader of the James Harden Society, fan club, whatever you want to call it. We're gonna get into more of what this does for the Clippers and everything later on. But happy Tuesday, October 31st. It's Halloween to those of you who are avid participants. I so much am not. I will be glued to the seat tonight watching basketball, of course. I kind of did the Halloween thing this weekend already. Kind of knocked it out. I feel like that's what most people did. Did a couple things. Nothing really too heavy on the costume front. I did Shaggy for one day. And Shaggy's great. Shaggy is fantastic because Shaggy wears big oversized pants and a big oversized t-shirt. And it was the most comfortable costume possible. If you can do the brown pants, that's fantastic. If you can't, try to get close. Then, of course, the green shirt was the signature. And then it helps to have longer hair. I just got a haircut. Some of you would tell me I need to go back and cut off more. I say to that, no. But over the weekend, my hair was looking crazy long in the back, so it was kind of perfect storm of events. Just not crazy on the Halloween front, man. When I was 17 years old and newly licensed and living in a small town, we had a huge Halloween party planned, and everybody's going, so I got to go. And I get all decked out. I go to Spirit Halloween, and that's the store. And I get a cop outfit because I think it'd be hilarious. It comes with, fake gun. And also, don't bring a fake gun to a party. It's dark. It's, nobody knows that it's fake. Should have left that one in the car. Or even at home. But it comes with handcuffs, the whole getup. It's the most interactive costume, one of the most, that you could wear. So I'm all excited. Driving in this party, tailing behind a couple of the cars, all my friends. I don't know how to get there. It's probably down some country road, And red and blue flash, silly mistake on my part, whatever. Get pulled over. Mind you, I'm already dressed for the party. I'm wearing the cop costume. Cop could not be less amused by that. Have a heart. Hey, cop, have a heart, man. Okay? He, in fact, did not have one. Was not in the holiday spirit whatsoever. I get a nasty ticket, and my Halloween dreams were ruined. But whatever. As for today, stepped out, got some lunch, Chick-fil-A, you know how it goes. Get a haircut. On my way out, there was a lady dressed in what I deemed to be costume. Because mind you, all the other girls in there were dressed for Halloween. I don't know that the one girl that I told, hey, cool costume, not 100% sure that she was dressed in costume. Didn't realize it until after I left, and I was like, the look on her face didn't bode that she was wearing a costume. So to that girl, I say, I am sorry. But come on, she had to be. She was There was so much going on. It was so much. She was in a costume. For my own sanity, I'm going to say that she was. But this will be a moment. And then like 3 years from now, when I'm struggling to go to sleep, I'm going to like remember that time you told that girl nice costume and she was totally just normal, being her normal self. We're not going to get into what she was wearing and all that because we don't want to go down the road. Anyway, enough Halloween. It's a great prelude to Thanksgiving, getting deep into the football season. Chase Young is now a 49er, so not going to make this a football thing, but that pisses me off. So that happy Tuesday to that. The Patriots are terrible, but I still enjoy football, man. Winter is, the best season. It's pretty chilly outside. Got my long sleeve on. I'm going to Boston this week. Leaving actually not tomorrow, Thursday morning. Leaving on Thursday. Well, you guessed it, a day after the Celtics leave town. So that's frustrating, but I'm already planning dates to go back to see the Celtics in Boston. So not going to be too stressed on that front. But yeah, here we go. We are entering November. It's the peak of NBA season. I'm getting into hockey now. I thought about wearing my Patrice Bergeron jersey just for this episode because, I'm getting in the mood. Going to Boston this week. The Bruins are playing. I might go to a game. Getting in the swing of things here. So really excited. We're about a week into the NBA season. We get the big James Harden trade last night. And this is where we're at. And I guess I have to speak on the James Harden thing. It kind of feels like we all saw this coming. James wanted to go there. The Clippers wanted him there. But then the Clippers tried to play it shy. And they're like, well, we'll just go get Malcolm Brogdon. They didn't really want Malcolm Brogdon. So he stays in Portland. And James Harden is still being told, hey, don't come to camp or don't come to practice. Hey, you can't come to the games. So it just felt like we were still leading up to this. But so as much as it was predictable, still some shock, just in the fact that, you never really know these things are going to happen until they happen. But everybody by now knows my stance on James Harden. I am a huge fan of James Harden. I always have been. That being said, I have become much more critical of him over the years, and I will not lie. This is a bad look. The being traded part is not the bad luck. The bad luck was the setup to the being traded. To it's all the stuff that goes into getting traded. Houston, he showed up out of shape, and Brooklyn, he just flat out demanded, I'm not playing here. And then kind of the same thing happened this time, except he seems to mature a little bit along each step. Houston was all out rage. I'm leaving. This is ridiculous. Brooklyn was mostly kept behind the scenes, and it just kind of happened. He just kind of was suddenly on Philly. And then this one was, he did show up to practice when they would allow him. And then he said he wanted to go to play the first game on the road. And they told him, hey, just stay behind. So he's, I guess now, would he have given his 110 best percent on the court? I don't know. I would assume so, because this is a guy playing without really any long-term money committed to him, and a guy who's running out of prime, if not already, in the twilight of his career. So at some point, everybody just got to get paid. So he probably saw the writing on the wall there. But yeah, I think this is, it's kind of disgraceful. The third team in 3 years that you demanded out of. Can't really defend that. It's getting much harder to defend James Harden. So I won't. Let's just kind of jump to the Clippers side of things. What do they see here? Well, they see that their two guys are healthy to start the season, and we like that. And there was an emphasis all off season on how we're going to make the regular season more important, both from the NBA, but from a team standpoint, I really saw the Clippers campaigning for that. I really saw Ty Lue campaigning for that, even going on Paul George's podcast and to his face saying hey, when you guys aren't available, it really hurts us. And we need home court in the playoffs. We need to get a top 7 seed. We can't get in through the play-in. There's too much left to chance when we do that. So they're active, they're playing, they haven't sat a game yet. I mean, we're a week in, so don't hold your breath on that front. I will say, you bring in James Harden. James Harden was once upon a time the Iron Man of the NBA, would not miss a game, was remarkably healthy, and was just consistent, man. You got the same 35, 36 points a night plus all that goes with it. And I struggle now. I don't know who the most reliable guy on the Clippers is, either from a health standpoint or just a commitment standpoint. You know, Kawhi's maybe the least reliable as far as health goes. Paul George and James Harden are not far behind on that front. Paul George and James Harden have notoriously disappeared in big-time playoff performances. So they're putting all their stock into three guys who notoriously have not been reliable for a various set of reasons. Now, not to be lost in all of this is Russell Westbrook. This is the third time that James Harden and Russell Westbrook will be on the same team. Russell at this point has to be like, I thought I got rid of you. And I'm not saying that. Like James is a better player than Russell right now. That's just the way it is. Russell's dependence on athleticism has, shown. Now he's coming into the season in fantastic shape and has shown, through a few games that he can still really look like Russ of old for spurts. However, night to night, James Harden, I think, is just, he still has, I trust in him to get to superstar levels more frequently than I do current version Russell Westbrook. But Russ is still on the team, right? Didn't get lost in the trade. Norman Powell didn't get lost in the trade. Terrence Mann didn't get lost in the trade. Really, all that goes out is some guys that were flirting with being out of the league anyway. And I hate to be, insensitive, but Nick Batum, great guy, love him, been in the league forever, hasn't won a thing. Robert Covington was out of the league for a little bit, if not, was damn close to it. I mean, he's looked okay and serviceable, and he's going to Philly, as is all these other pieces. I believe a Morris twin went out as well. Was it Markieff? Did Morris leave? Not some of the specs of the trade they're just kind of indifferent right now. The highlight here is that the Clippers keep their top 7, right? Their top 7, and they add James Harden. So for whatever you thought about the Clippers before, it's largely the same, except now you bring in James Harden. Is this the best team that he has ever been on? From a name standpoint, yeah, it looks like it. We'll see how many games these guys actually tally up together this year. Is the number 35? Do they play 35 games together? Those three, George, Leonard, and Harden, maybe. We'll see. It's yet to be seen. If they can do the impossible, do what seems impossible, and stay healthy for the bulk of the season, I love their chances. I love it. I love it because now James Harden is on a team where he's not going to be looked to as the primary ball handler and shot creator down the stretch. He will be one of them. Paul George will be one of them, but they also have Kawhi Leonard, who through 2 games in that Phoenix series last year looked phenomenal. And I still don't really know. I mean, he finished those 2 games looking incredible, and then he disappeared because they said he was hurt. I don't know. Not really sure what happened there. Kind of hate it because he was so special to watch in that stretch. But that's what you have in Kawhi Leonard. You know what you have. You have a bona fide top 5, top 6 guy when he's healthy and running strong. So now the ball's not in James Harden's hands to end the game, right? And that takes so much pressure off of him. It takes pressure off of Paul George. It takes pressure off of Russell Westbrook. But together, this could be the best supporting cast that Kawhi has had as the lead guy, right? you want to think back to mid 2010 Spurs days, but he really wasn't there yet. He wasn't the bona fide number one yet. But for the Clippers, man, I think you had to take this chance. You really don't give up too much. I think they lost the 2028 first rounder. Oh, well, that's fine. The Clippers don't strike me as a team that's ever going to rebuild or do a traditional rebuild, right? I wrote in my notes, that Steve Ballmer will forever have new owner syndrome. Basically, just think Matt Ishbia. As soon as he took over the Suns, it was bang. Next day, we're getting KD, right? Really, before he was even the official owner, I think he was just kind of like the acting owner during the time of the sale, and he was already like, we're getting KD, let's go, trade everything, and did that. And then this summer went all in, got Bradley Beal, right? It's that new owner syndrome. It's like, hey, I just bought this team, damn it, I want to see some wins, I want to see a title, I want to bring something here to this city. And there's parts of that are fantastic. The aggressive spending, the positive outlook on the league and the sport, and thinking that you can just get to a championship over, in an off season. And in some cases, you might be able to. We'll see what Phoenix is capable of this year. We'll see what the Clippers are capable of after adding James Harden. Just some of these deals, most of these deals, these fly by the seat of your pants, trade a bunch of stuff for a star, they usually don't work out. They just don't, because it's really hard to assemble a team with very little to no continuity. And that would be the exact case for the Suns. Not so much for the Clippers. That's why I'm still pretty in on this deal. I'm pretty high on it, because I thought for sure, and I tweeted it out, I was like, man, they probably gave up Terrence Mann or Norman Powell and some trade picks or some draft picks. They didn't. They didn't give up either of them, and it's fantastic for them to be able to pull this off. I mean, obviously James couldn't have done much more to tank his value even harder. And after basically stating that he was all in on the Clips, it was hard for any other team to get involved in that race. So not a lot of leverage for Philly and Daryl Morey, but they ended up just doing what felt inevitable, right? So with that being said, the Clippers jump above Golden State. They jump into the 5 spot for the best title odds. This is according to FanDuel, if you use that. But the betting odds for the title, the top 5, top 6, usually pretty good idea of who's going to win the title. Anything outside of that is just pretty unlikely. So do I agree with the Clippers jumping Golden State? I don't really know. I have a whole thing on. I'm going to give the case for the 5 best title odds teams. I'll expand it to 6. That way we can talk about Golden State. I was going to do a separate bit on the Celtics, but since they're the number 1 best case or best odds for the title team, we're just going to lump it all together in there. So I'm going to take a quick break, and then we're going to come back and talk a little Celtics, talk a little title. All right, so let's just start. I know we're going to condense it to the 5 best title odds. Thing is, no matter what I think of them, there are 2 sides to every trade, and Philly is obviously affected by this deal as well. And like I said, no matter what I think of them and their chances of winning, we should address it, right? So they get bumped down to 9, 9th best title odds, and at this point, to me, it's a superbly long shot. With James Harden, it was a long shot. Their best chance, honestly, came last year when they were up 3-2 on the Celtics. And James Harden was balling out then. Had the insane game 1. Was it game 6 or I believe it was game 5 that he also went crazy. That was your best chance. You slipped it. You let it slide. The Celtics come back. They grasp that series, and the rest is history. This kind of sparks is James Harden leaving? Is he going to Houston? Yada, yada, yada. And he's gone. Look at that. That's what happened. That was your best case. Case now for the Sixers would be Embiid can remain at MVP levels, but somehow still take a step forward. I mean, really hard for him to go any higher here. I mean, he just displayed what I believe to be his absolute peak last season. Could he keep it up again this year? Absolutely. I could definitely see that. Who's their number 2 now? It's Tyrese Maxey. Tyrese Maxey is fine. He's very much so undersized though, and the undersized thing, that bit doesn't work. It would be the same as if Donovan Mitchell was on the Sixers, right? Not comparing those two directly. I believe Mitchell to be much better. But these undersized players, these guards, they can't propel a team in the ways that which some of the guys you look at, Tatum and Brown in Boston, you look at George and Leonard, even though they haven't been healthy. These guys in the wings, they really can alter a game by playing dominant basketball on both sides of the ball. Maxey's going to be he tries his ass off, man, but he's just always going to be somewhat of a liability in certain matchups, and matchups are everything in the postseason. And if he is your number 2, that is only okay if your number 3 is right behind, if not just as good as your number 2. I don't see a formidable 3 here. Is it Tobias Harris as your third best player? Look, the Sixers have enough to play with here that they could go out and make a move at the deadline here. They could. I just don't know what that looks like, and I don't know who comes available. So at the moment, with this trade, it kind of kills them. I didn't like their odds with Harden either. So don't think that I'm putting this all on James Harden's shoulders, the Sixers' success. No, they go as far as Embiid goes. Unfortunately, Embiid only goes so far as the second round. And all of that is mostly, that's all Embiid, right? We don't really see a lot of centers in today's game that can push a team to a finals run. Really, the outlier is Jokic, but Embiid is not Jokic. And I know that he won MVP over him last year, and that already looked stupid come June. But this team goes as Embiid goes. They'd have to really wow me at the deadline with an all-NBA type addition to jump into this top 5. The Warriors get bumped because of the Clippers. They get bumped down to 6th. The Warriors have looked good this year so far, and then they're really kind of, Draymond didn't start the season, so not really at full strength here yet. The case for the Warriors to win the title is Steph Curry, right? It's Steph Curry. Steph is still Steph, is their case. Can Clay be like half Clay? Can he be like just Clay light with consistency? Because too much last year, too often he just disappeared or was far too inconsistent. So far this year, through 4 games, he looks good enough. He kind of looks like Clay. He's, I believe, averaging 17 points on about 40% from the 3-point line. And that's enough. That's enough for Clay. Can he stay healthy? Can he be available? Can he do this consistently? Can he be a good enough number 2/number 3 for Steph? Number 2 could also be Andrew Wiggins. I believe Andrew Wiggins at this point is a better player than Klay Thompson. I believe he has been for about a year and a half now. But he also, for reasons unrelated to health, disappeared for a chunk of last season. I believe that really hurt them. They did not have much continuity going into the postseason. Another thing that really hurt them was when they ran into the Lakers, they did not have enough size to combat Davis and LeBron charging headfirst into them every time down. And that's not something that has changed. Like I said, this is a long season. The rosters we see today, I believe, are, probably 90% complete, but there is always, we always have movers and shakers at the deadline, and guys who you didn't think were going to come available in October, now in January, hey, they're being dangled, and teams like Golden State, could go out and grab them. As currently constructed, I just see too much of the same last year. Steph is still Steph, but he have to turn the clock, maybe even turn the clock back. I say that, but I feel like Steph has just been Steph for like 8 years now. And so I don't even know. I feel like he's still somehow in his prime. I mean, so I couldn't tell you what the solution is right now for them to take the next step. But for so long as they have Steph Curry on their roster, I like their odds better than a lot of teams. A lot of teams would, as of now, include the Los Angeles Clippers. I personally would not bump the Clippers up above the Warriors yet. Of course, I get it. I get how this works. All the eyes are now on them with James Harden. Their top two guys are healthy and playing, which is out of the norm for them. That's the thing, though. That's the bit. It's out of the norm. So until it becomes even close to a semblance of the norm, I can't take them seriously enough to put them over Golden State. I cannot put them over Phoenix, who is number 4. Phoenix, I'm close to just doing an hour-long episode on why I hate the Phoenix Suns. Really, it just stems from the fact that we are 3 games into the season, and Devin Booker will have missed almost all of them after looking fantastic in the first game. Shows up to the first game, plays it in full, looks fantastic. We just got this whole summary this summer about how we're going to take the regular season serious, guys. Everybody's going to play. If you're resting, your team gets fined. You get fined. Everybody gets fined. It's a big deal. It will be penalties assessed. He plays a full game, looks fantastic. Doesn't really show any signs of being hurt. Next game, out for foot soreness. Look, it could be more than that. It could be real, actual pain that he is unable to play through. Well, then we should know that, because I hear foot soreness and my feet are sore 90% of the time. My back is sore right now, okay? I got a neck thing, okay? Do I get to sit out? I sound so boomer right now when I say, do I just not get to go to work? But really, I mean, I'm not an NBA player. I don't know any of them personally. So what the hell do I know? But just my broad assumption, on where the league has changed and evolved over the last, 8 to 10 years, I believe we now have a generation of players who mistake not being at 100% for now being too unhealthy to play. I would never assume that guys are ever playing 100%, no injury concern, no soreness in the body, no aches and pains, no wear and tear. I would always assume that there's some of that, guys now, I mean, they get they get a bump, they get a bruise, and they're out for a week, right? I hate it. I see guys go down at LA Fitness with a sprained ankle or gets thrown into a wall and their ass is back down on defense the next possession. It's not the same thing. I know. I get it. Trust me, I believe it. I'm trying to be as pro player as possible, but there comes a point where it needs to be, can we just be pro fan for a little bit? Like, guys, I mean, you would fully 100% expect, if you watched game 1 of the Phoenix Suns and you're a fan and they're coming to your city, you're like, oh, everybody finished that game healthy. They all look great. I have a chance to see a fully healthy Phoenix Suns minus Bradley Beal for whatever the hell he's sitting out for. I can see Booker and Durant. This is awesome. I'll buy the tickets right now. Buy the tickets the next day. Oh, yeah, their best player is actually going to sit because his foot's sore. I'd be irate. I have been irate. I have been in that situation before. And this is going off track, but I built this in. I'm allowing time for this. This is a rant that will happen every 6 months. You just have to deal with it, okay? It just is what it is. This is everybody should be on board with this, by the way, with every word I'm saying. Everybody should totally agree. Seriously, it's nuts. I don't know why Beal's hurt or why he's out. He played in the preseason, regular season comes, he can't play. Okay, whatever. I really don't even care the reason. If it's not a serious diagnosable injury with a legitimate concern for why you can't play, I don't even care. What? Because it's probably fake. It's probably fake. It's foot soreness. Oh, I stubbed my toe. Oh, what? Whatever. I landed on my ass in practice. Okay, now you're out for 2 weeks. Okay, got it. Okay, rant's over. Phoenix will be awesome if their 3 guys play. I cannot believe I'm saying this, but I actually like the Nurkic edition so far. We're a week into the season. He's still a 0 on defense for the most part, but he has been a big rebounder for them at times. His connection with Booker and Durant looked great in game 1. They needed a guy with that size who could screen for them, and he's been doing this long enough. He knows how to play with superstars. He played with Dame. He played with McCollum. He knows how to play off the ball. He's a smart offensive player. Never said anything about that. Not good, not very good defensively, but if he can be serviceable and give them 25 to 28 minutes a game, I really like the addition, and I think the drop-off from Ayton to him is actually very insignificant. I did believe it would be more, but with the way that Ayton has started this season and with the way that Nurkic has started this season, I may have overestimated that. And I actually really like what I'm seeing for them. I'm seeing a little bit too much Grayson Allen. I'm seeing a little bit too much. Maybe that's it. Maybe that's just Grayson Allen. I like what Grayson Allen can bring. He looks a lot better when his shots are falling. I really do like Josh Okogie. I think that they have nice pieces. Keita Bates-Diop is a sleeper. Okay, he led the league last year in corner 3 percentage. He still hasn't touched the floor yet, I don't think. Not when I've watched them. I haven't seen him. It's gross how much I'm paying attention to stuff like Keita Bates-Diop, but I live in San Antonio. I watched him play a dozen games last year. I'm kind of into it. One of my more favorite acquisitions that they made. But there's a lot to like. KD is still KD. I want to see him manage his minutes over the season. Now, I'm not going back on what I just said. I'm on the rest thing. Guys, I've always expected guys to manage their minutes, especially older players. Meaning, I want to see him be able to sit the back half of those fourth quarters, right? If he has to play, closer to 40 minutes than 30 minutes for the bulk of the season, I don't think it bodes well for their playoff chances. Well, I mean, it bodes well for them getting to the playoffs, sure. But if they're relying on him that heavily just to get to the playoffs, just to fight for a good seed, I don't think it bodes well for their sustainability throughout a deep playoff run. I think you really need to start to watch his miles. This is where you would look to Booker and Beal, who are on the correct side of 30, and you would say, hey, guys, you guys should carry the load for us most nights, namely Devin Booker. He is really in the prime of his career and looked fantastic through most of the playoffs last year. Looked fantastic in game 1. I would expect him to carry much of, the weight of this season. Waiting on it still waiting on it. So Phoenix at 4, kind of okay with it. Like I said, wouldn't put the Clippers above them yet, but I would not put them over Denver, who FanDuel has ranked as number 3. Denver, man. Denver. Have you ever seen a team win a title, keep pretty much the core intact, maintain the fact that they still have the best player in the world on their roster, and then they get reduced to number 3 in the title odds next year? Not fortunate, but I mean, fortunately for them, that really doesn't make a difference. Most importantly for them, they have Nikola Jokic, they have Jamal Murray, they have Michael Porter Jr. They kept their group intact. They did lose Bruce Brown, who has since then turned into Ray Allen in Indiana. And that's not totally insignificant. That's not just whatever, Bruce Brown. He was very important for them last year, played a lot of minutes. That being said, over the course of an 82-game season, I really like their young guys. I like Julian Strawther. I like Christian Brown a lot. They got Peyton Watson. These are guys, they're going to be their X factor. Can they step up, jump into can they really earmark a rotation role and become valid rotation pieces over the season? That is going to be their biggest thing. Christian Braun was playing legitimate finals minutes for them last season, and he showed up. At times he looked very much like the rookie that he is, but he's a good player. And with time, he's going to become a more valid part of this team. He's going to get some serious run. I really like him. A lot of people are super high on Julian Strawther and Peyton Watson, as young guys. Whatever. I think they're, people I trust say they like them. So therefore, I think they're probably going to be just fine. So, yeah, if those three, namely, can be serviceable rotation guys, then I think the depth issue for Denver will have just been supremely overstated and will not be that much of a factor in their title run. They're my favorite to come out of the West. I could see Phoenix, like I said, giving them a run if everything goes right. If either LA team has everything going for them, I'm okay with it. I could see them giving them a run. I thought the Lakers series with them was competitive last year, as competitive as a sweep can be. Every game really felt like it could go either way until the final few minutes, and that's where the Lakers, they're not in this list. They're sleeping on LeBron, they're sleeping on AD. That's where the Lakers could get better, is at closing games. Denver is fantastic at closing games. We saw that all last season. There was that stretch where things got murky for them, and about the March-April run where it was like, well, is this a red flag, or is this just the regular season is getting to be a bit boring for them? And I think we all learned that the regular season was just getting to be a bit boring for them. Dominating every night can become a little bit boring. Trust me, saw it with my own eyes. I watched the San Antonio Spurs beat the Denver Nuggets last year. So it happens. It happens, especially towards that latter part of the season. But big thing here for Denver, can they stay healthy? Can those young guys actually really carve out an important role in the rotation so that way they have the depth to get through this 82-game season? Can they manage Jokic enough? Can they sit him in enough fourth quarters? Can they buy him enough stretches on the bench? Because, he is the biggest on-off player in the league. When he goes to the bench, the Nuggets at times really, really struggle. Weaning off their dependence of, and I know he's the best player in the world, but weaning off of their strict dependence on him is another factor to really look out for. And I think with a full season of Jamal Murray being healthy and Porter is kind of taking a leap forward, I saw him poking some fun at, or acknowledging the fact that a lot of fun gets made of him for being the guy who will never pass the ball. He actually gave a great, response to it. It's like, hey, that's not my job on this team. Jokic passes the ball a ton. Murray passes the ball a ton. I don't. That's not my role. I could come in here and shoot the ball damn well. He does. So Denver, nothing's changed for them for me. I still love them going forward. I think they project super well. I like them a lot more than I like Milwaukee. I'll tell you that much. A week into the Damian Lillard experiment, and we've had the absolute peak of Dame, and we've had the absolute bottom of Dame. Dame had a disaster class 1 for 11 performance the other night. It was just he was 1 for 11 when he checked out. Don't fact check me. If he came back into the game and made a few garbage time baskets, whatever, don't quote it. But we also saw a masterclass from Dame in which he was the lead ball handler in the fourth quarter, which is what the Bucks really needed. They needed a guy who could take over a game, and that's not Giannis. That's just not Giannis. And they're not knocking Giannis. Giannis's style of play doesn't lend itself to give me the ball in the final 5 minutes of a game. I'm going to go down there and get a basket every time. He is much more so. He's going to do 90% of his, I'm not trying to take away from Giannis, right? Giannis is probably the second or third best player in the world, right? But you don't want to see Giannis take dribble pull-ups, to close out a game. Now, is that something he could add to his game? Sure. Could he add some more post work to be a more stable post player and create shots for himself and others out of the post, sure, that's something I would like to see. But we're kind of in the absolute peak of Giannis's career, and we're not seeing it yet, so it's probably not going to happen right now. Those types of things either have happened by now or they happen later in the career when you realize, okay, my athleticism is slipping. I need to start adding to some facets to my game that I have not already. So to add Dame, and Dame can get a shot off against anybody and can make tough shots. He made the insane and one layup that really put that game away. And he's a special talent, man. 100% Milwaukee does that trade, even knowing that Jrue Holiday would get sent to Boston. But Boston is number one. Boston is number one, and through 1 week looks way better than any other team in the NBA, if you ask me, outside of Denver. Denver is also 4-0, and they look good. I will say that as far as teams that made big-time acquisitions in the offseason, Boston seemed to be the most plug-and-play and most built for fit so far through the season. Namely, Kristaps Porzingis. I mean, from the jump in game one, he catches a lob from Derek White. He gets a corner three. He's affecting every shot below the free throw line. He is getting in everybody's face. He is doing everything well for the Celtics right now. He looked great last night against Washington. He knew all the right buttons to push. It's almost like he played there for a season. He was awesome. It has been awesome. As far as the guys who went out for Boston, Marcus Smart has been playing really well with Memphis. Memphis has yet to win a game, though. Of course, they don't have a Ja Morant right now. Grant Williams has looked good. He's looked good with Dallas, but I really struggle to see where he would even play for this Celtics team. So that's important because, remember, he got paid almost $60 million from Dallas, and for Dallas, that's probably a fine number to pay Grant Williams. For Boston, it just wouldn't make sense, especially with where this tax has gone and this second apron. Putting that much money into Grant Williams as your maybe eighth best guy would just there was a lot of pause on Celtics front, and for a good reason. This Celtics team looks just fine. They're still yet to really figure it out. Kristaps says he's still kind of learning to find his footing. One, in the offense, but two, just because he had the injury over the offseason. And I hate saying the word injury. But, of course, health will be very important for Boston. If their top six can remain intact and remain healthy, this team, I really fail to see how they don't win the title. And that makes me just glow, right? I just feel so glad to say that, to finally really feel a true level of confidence that we can really win the title. But this is the best top six in the sport, man. It just is. Jrue Holiday, I haven't even mentioned him yet. I'm 3 minutes and I'm talking about the Celtics. I still haven't even mentioned Jrue Holiday. Jrue Holiday and Derek White had an absolute block party the other night. It was incredible to watch. It was against the Heat. They are chasing down everything. They are on everybody's ass on a fast break. Derek White is getting up there blocking Jimmy Butler on the fast break on a dunk. Jrue Holiday is doing the same. Last night, Jordan Poole tried to post up Jrue Holiday multiple times in one possession, and it was just hilarious. He'd get his back on him, and then Jrue would just swipe it away. Jordan would go get it. He'd put his back on him. Jrue would slap it away. That's not going to fly. You're not going to be able to post these guards. They're not going to have it. If you want to try it, go ahead, but they're blocking anything that they can get their hands to. So the transition defense with those two alone is special. The shot making for this team is maybe the best in the league. They have shown a great regression as far as their dependence on the three, which is a good thing. They were so dependent on the three, and they're still taking a lot of them. That's Missoula ball, baby. But the fact is, it starts with Jason Tatum. And Jason Tatum is actively seeking out shots in the mid-range. In the post, he's posting guys up. He's not settling for these threes. And well, we're a week in, and I know there's going to be nights when you're playing Detroit on a Wednesday night in November, and you already have 30, so may as well just come down and take a couple threes. It's going to happen, but in the heat of a close game, I don't want to see that. I want to see Jason Tatum use all three levels of the floor because he's maybe the best three-level scorer we have right now in his prime. And we just didn't get that enough last season. In the playoffs, it started to come back a little bit. A sequence comes to mind for me in the Miami series where he showed off his defensive ability on one side, blocking Jimmy Butler, then goes down on the other end, posts up Jimmy Butler, hits that nasty fadeaway, and that was right before halftime. I remember that series. It's burned into my brain. It starts with Jason Tatum getting away from the dependence on the three ball. Now, last night, I believe he made 6 of them, and I believe Jaylen Brown made 8 of them. So they're still damn good at shooting the ball. It's just when it's not falling, what else do you have? And too often last season, Boston didn't have anything else. It was the 3 or nothing. Live by the 3, die by the 3. I feel like, especially now with Porzingis presents a whole new dynamic for this offense. It's something that in the Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum era, they've never had. They've never had a dominant scoring big. Al Horford is not even quite 7 feet and is not nearly as agile or as good of a handler of the ball as Porzingis. And that's really it. I mean, Robert Williams was never going to do that for you. He was an undersized big. One more quick thing here. There was a lot of speculation from folks that, the Celtics defensively in the paint were really going to regress because of the loss of Robert Williams. One, Robert Williams, I believe he played less than 40 regular season games last year. And 2, he's a bit undersized. Now, he's freakishly athletic and can get up there with anybody. And he is a fantastic shot blocker. Thing is, Porzingis is as well. And even if the block numbers aren't the same at all times, just watch him. He's getting a hand up on everything inside that painted area. Anything below the free throw line, he's on it. He has the ability to go out to the perimeter and guard smaller players. It's a whole new dynamic that for a team that just made the conference finals last year, that just made the NBA finals 2 years ago, for them to just go out and do this, just to go out and get a guy like this is revolutionary and probably not mentioned enough in the conversations around who's going to win the title this year. I know Boston is leading the front on that, but I still don't think we've talked enough about how important this deal is. And I know it's probably stemming from the fact Porzingis played in New York, kind of went out, bad there. A lot of injury history there. Just kind of never quite got on the right page. Goes to Dallas, looks really bad. Really didn't look good. His post-up game, admittedly, he said himself, was not very good, and that's really what they wanted from him. Playing alongside Luka. I'm not saying Luka's fantastic as a playmaker. He has the ability to make others around him better. But there was a certain style at that time that they wanted to play with, and it didn't really involve Kristaps as, in using his strengths. They really wanted, when they did go to him, it was a post up. He wasn't really getting enough perimeter looks, and just his game wasn't fit for that Dallas Mavericks team. Goes to Washington. Career high in points, pretty much everything. Career high in 3-point percentage, looks fantastic. And, his 3-point percentage last year almost looked a bit fluky, and I kind of thought he'd regress some. I don't think it was a fluke. I think he's just a better shooter. I think he's just I think he's in the prime of his career, and I think he's just a better shooter. I think it just happened because he looks fantastic, and every time he lets it go, whether he's on the line, in the 2-point line, in the 2-point area, or 5 feet beyond the arc, I just think it's good. And a lot of times it's good. I have no complaints so far on the Jrue Holiday front, on the Porzingis front. I think the team looks fantastic. Undefeated so far. Mazzulla tried to make the first game against the Knicks. He tried to make it a little bit weird. Yeah, tried to make it a little bit weird. Sub Jaylen Brown out with like 30 seconds left, and then immediately put him back in it was like a weird defensive substitution. It was like, wait, Jaylen Brown's been defending Jalen Brunson really well. What are you doing? And then instantly, Knicks called the timeout. He was able to remedy it, but it was like game one, and we're already, kind of fudging up the sub patterns here. So for all teams, this is a new season. It's a new opportunity to go and make good on all of your off-season wishes and acquisitions. Some are doing better than others so far. Like I said, Boston, Milwaukee to an extent, Phoenix. Still really haven't seen Booker and Beal play together. Haven't seen Beal play at all. We'll see. We'll see how everything shakes out. We still have yet to see James Harden in a Clippers uniform. I'm sure it will be a sight to see. I can't wait to see him and Russ in the same backcourt. Maybe they'll start together. Who knows? Yeah. What a starting five that would be, though, huh? Russell Westbrook, James Harden, Paul George, Kawhi Leonard, and I guess Zubac or whoever you want to name your five. On paper. Hey, on paper. Hey, it's not so bad. Well, I think that's it for today. I think that's it. That was kind of fun. It was kind of just off the cuff, just running through the teams in the league that have a great chance. We will bookmark it. We will watch we'll see how everything develops throughout the season. And I'm clearly running out of words. So thank you so much for listening. Next time you hear me will probably be later this week. Maybe get a nice Sunday episode up. Maybe next Monday. Maybe we'll just aim for 7 days from now. So thank you so much for joining. And I'll see you in the next one.